Welcome into another episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner, live from Denver, Colorado, as the NCAA tournament is here, and I am not a member of the CFA Institute. Did not pass that test, wherever it is behind me, but my friend did. So congratulate him on his accounting successes or whatever the heck you want to do. Today's episode, we're going to go through the top 5 European soccer leagues. And of course, as always, come up with an ultimate best bet. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. And if I get a great one or a question in there or something like that, I am happy to read it. Let's see. Certainly a lot of focus right now on the NCAA tournament. If you're not a member yet of my Patreon, that's where you're getting the plays released immediately as soon as I lock them in. Of course, stuff coming out on pregame.com as well. And I will be putting out more, giving out a promo code for pregame, 20% off, most likely. I have not looked at it yet. Probably need to pull that up. But also, if you are looking to get kind of my more intimate ideas and leans on certain games, I've had a really hot college basketball season, one of my last 10 that I've posted on pregame. But I'm basically trying to go over my leans and interests each night on Patreon. It's a much more affordable price than what you'd be seeing. Like it's $20 a month compared to $25 a day package or $20 a day package, depending what you're looking at pregame. So might be worth it for you. Would love to get some more support there and try to figure out a little bit better ways to communicate. But I think everyone's been really happy so far. Subscribers have been really loving it, and I hope to get more in that direction because I think that's a better way for me to kind of describe what I'm doing in a better fashion. All lines quoted on this podcast are courtesy of betonline.ag, my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced juice is offered on almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description to fund your account. Use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. So there is some FA Cup today, which is a little different than normal, but not too different. So I'll start in England, start with the Premier League because there's a Friday match. Nottingham Forest currently a 3/4 goal underdog at home to Newcastle. Over under is 2.5, juice to the under. Nottingham Forest has been competitive, but also has been drifting towards the bottom and playing pretty poorly. Defense was pretty bad last weekend against Tottenham. I think they're going to be, this is a spot where they need to get points. A single point is probably the minimum that they're looking for. I don't expect them to come out and play aggressively all of a sudden. Their counterattacking side, I think they're going to know that Newcastle are much better and are much more solid defensively. But I do think there's some value in Nottingham Forest at home. I want to see +1, which is very juicy at the moment. So I'm not so interested in the side, but I do like under 2.5, as I don't believe Newcastle's offense is anything really at this point, and I don't think it will be until they get some better either continuity or better players. But I do trust their defense to keep it really tight at the back, and I don't think this match will have a lot of goals. I think goalless is possible, and that's always something I want to see with an under. So I really like under 2.5 in Newcastle on the road at Nottingham Forest. Moving to Saturday, we have Wolves hosting Leeds. Currently, Wolves a 1/4 goal favorite. Over under is 2.25. Choose to the under. Seems pretty cheap on Wolves. Leeds have been getting a fair amount of respect, but I don't believe in them. I don't believe in their offense. I think they're a bad team, potentially going down. I do think that both these teams are good defensively, or at least Wolves are a solid physical team that I think will play better defense, and Leeds don't have a lot of threats unless Patrick Bamford somehow connects on something that he hasn't done in years, like he did last week or last weekend. But ultimately, I think Leeds are playing a conservative brand of football, especially on the road. So under 2.25 looks good to me on Saturday morning. Brentford then hosts Leicester. Brentford a 1/2 goal favorite. Over under is 2.5. And I just don't know really what to do with Leicester anymore. Their defense is still pretty porous. Brentford a great home team and have been beating much better teams at home. So a 1/2 goal seems way too short for me. Aston Villa then hosts Bournemouth. Currently Aston Villa a 3/4 goal favorite. A little bit more of the juice right now, but not anything too crazy. Over under is 2.5, juice the under. And I think this is a time to back Bournemouth. I'm not necessarily believing that they're going to score a ton of goals, I gotta admit. But they've been playing a lot better, I think, than they were early in the year, of course. But also one of those things where I think I trust them to continue to play well and really fight the drop. They really came up through a counterattacking style. They're still playing the same way. I don't necessarily see that changing too much going forward. And I think that really plays well into this matchup because Aston Villa's defense has been problematic. It's something that I think Unai Emery has been working on really hard, but they also signed center backs and then have gotten like no play out of them, unfortunately, this season. So I think Bournemouth lack a lot offensively ultimately and with a strategy too, especially away from home. I think they're going to be trying to keep this as low scoring as possible and maybe get some sort of goal. I also feel like Bournemouth's corner kick issues have been not solved completely, but have been worked on a ton on the training ground and have improved. So 2.5 feels like a reasonable number, but also one that's high enough for me to want the under in that one. Moving next to Southampton and Tottenham. Southampton half a goal underdog at home, all the juice on Tottenham on the road, over unders 2.5, juice the under. I'm not a believer in this Tottenham team at all. Finally, the lines are kind of catching up to it. I'm somewhat interested if Southampton keep climbing, but 3/4 of a goal is probably not enough for me. I think I want a full one to fade Tottenham and Harry Kane's massive head in the air. I like under 2.5. I just don't believe Tottenham. I mean, as a road favorite, their strategy is not good enough to score a lot of goals. And I think, I mean, based on where the juice is right now, maybe this falls to 2.25. I think I'm still interested there. So I like under in that one. Chelsea and Everton. Chelsea 1-goal favorite. Very juiced at the moment. Over unders 2.25, juice to the over. I think Everton under Sean Dyche are just a team I'm going to look to back every time. The way that I generally back them is by betting unders. Some of them have not worked out so far, but I feel like a lot have been kind of unfortunate or like unlucky or just unlikely goals that have been scored. So I still believe in Everton as an under team, and Chelsea is the biggest under team out there. Huge favorite in all their matches. Don't really believe that they're going to score goals. The way that they score goals seem just really like all flukes and really unlucky or unlikely. They're getting a little bit better and getting closer and certainly getting more confident with more wins, but I'm not a believer in them. And this might look like it's going to climb towards 2.5, which would be something I'm waiting out for sure. Moving to Sunday, Arsenal host Crystal Palace. Currently, Arsenal a 1.75 goal favorite coming off Europa League on Thursday. Gigantic number. And that's something that I'd like to potentially look to be against. Crystal Palace, I think they have most of the juice right now, so I doubt it's going to climb to 2. Also a key number that I don't think a lot of odds makers want to give out because they don't like the pushes and those sort of things. But Arsenal at home are a great team. They've been doing pretty well with the pressure of trying to win the Premier League, coming out kind of out of nowhere. Crystal Palace has shown really nothing offensively for a long time. Their defense is fairly problematic, especially away from home. But I think they can cause some problems for Arsenal. And 1.75 goal underdog is gigantic. I feel like they've been way more competitive than that number suggests. And I think that has to filter into the total at 2.75. So even if Arsenal score twice, you're still covering by a fair amount. And certainly things get a little bit uglier if there's a lot of goal scoring, all that sort of stuff. But I'm very interested in Crystal Palace and that under 2.75. I guess it's the only game on Sunday because of the FA Cup. So my ultimate best bet for England while I load up FA Cup lines, I'm going to go with Bournemouth under 2.5. So I just don't think there's a lot of goals in that matchup. So FA Cup, start with on Saturday, we have Manchester City, a 2-goal favorite to Burnley. Over under is 3, juice the over. Man City coming off a thrashing of Red Bull Leipzig. I don't know. I mean, Burnley are going to not. I mean, they've been playing an up-tempo or front-footed brand of football. I can't imagine they do that against Man City, but I don't really like the idea of playing a championship side, despite being a very good one, playing the way they don't want to and don't really have a feel for the total. I'll probably lean over, if anything, which is probably music to any total player that likes overs ears because I don't give those out a lot. Sheffield United then hosts Blackburn Rovers. Sheffield 3/4 goal favorite, over unders 2.5. Don't have a lot of sight into that. Brighton a 2.5 goal favorite to Grimsby, over unders 3.5. I think my strongest lean is under here. Grimsby are not a quality football side whatsoever. Brighton clearly can score goals, so I don't necessarily see how it always happens. Grimsby's going to try to get it 0-0. And even at 1-0, I think they're still playing really solid defense, but who knows when they come out at that point. And Brighton are very likely to win, especially at home. Manchester United then hosts Fulham. Manchester United a 1.25 goal favorite. Over under is 2.75, juice to the over. I'm pretty interested in Fulham at that number, at that price. They have not been playing as well lately, I gotta admit. I do feel like that's partly because they've been missing João Palhinha in the midfield. I think he should be back for this one after a 2-game ban. I think both of those have been played, so that's helpful. I am a little bit worried about Manchester United's offense, though. They can score goals, of course. So it makes when they win and then Fulham pushes forward to get an equalizer because it's a cup tie. That does make me worried about potentially an empty net type of goal, or like a 3-on-1 type of situation where Manchester United just pick apart a defense and have a really easy avenue to a goal. Might be that under 2 3/4 is a little bit more interesting, but I do think Fulham's offensive threat is there. Not as great as, of course, as Manchester United's, and Fulham's defense is a lot of what I wanted to back for a lot of the season, and it's gone very well despite a reputation they're going to be too front-footed. I think for my best bet for the FA Cup on these lines that are available, I'll go under 3.5 on Grimsby on the road at Brighton. And now I'll move to Spanish La Liga. So we'll start with Valladolid hosting Athletic Club Bilbao today on Friday. Valladolid, a half a goal underdog at home, over unders 2.5, slightly juice the under. I'm pretty interested in Valladolid. I think they have really come out of the break playing really well, and Athletic Club as a road favorite is just something that I've learned to be against as much as I can. So under and also the home underdog are very interesting to me, as I just don't believe Athletic Club can score goals efficiently or be expected to, and they need probably 2 goals to send this over and cover a spread. And I think that both of those are very unlikely. Moving to Saturday, Almeria hosts Cadiz. Currently, Almeria half a goal favorite. All the juice right now, Cadiz on the road. Over unders 2.25, juice the over. Two teams that, one, Cadiz is like a dead under team. Almeria, on the other hand, are a dead over team. And Cadiz coming off a 4-game battle against Getafe with a late red card and an extremely late penalty, like at the death, for Getafe to walk out with a point. Cadiz is certainly going to be really upset about that and probably bring a very inspired effort to this one. I think I like Cadiz getting the half of a goal. I think that's too high for Almeria's defense to offer. Cadiz, their offense is not great, but it's been better lately. Over under 2.25, hard to say. I think I lean under, if anything, because I think this is going to be a relegation 6-pointer that is going to be really, really tough, and going to be a lot of physical tackles. Certainly that means that red cards and other risks like that increase. I still don't believe that both of these offenses are any good, but Almeria's defense has been really problematic at times. Rayo Vallecano then hosts Girona. Currently Rayo a 1/4 goal favorite, with all the juice potentially climbing to a half of a goal. Over unders 2.25, juice to the over. I think strongest lean in this one would be under 2.25. I don't necessarily think that either of these teams have great offenses. Rayo is a home team on a counterattack, and that's a little bit awkward as a favorite, especially a favorite that's going to climb to half of a goal, I think, before kickoff. Girona's, I mean, they've played some really high scoring matches, though, to be frank. So that does make 2.25 look pretty low, though. I think that Girona is not necessarily an over team in this league. Espanyol then hosts Celta de Vigo. Currently, Espanyol pick them at home. All the juice on Celta de Vigo on the road, surprisingly. I'm a little interested in Espanyol as a home dog. I'm not sure that I believe in Celta just yet, but Espanyol, really poor showing against Real Madrid despite taking a lead. And I got to say, I have concerns about them staying in the league. Over unders 2.25, juice to the under. That would be probably my strongest lean in this one, especially seeing Celta as the road favorite. Celta's used to be an all offensive team. I think their defense has improved just to cover for an offense that's been gotten a lot worse. And move now to Atletico Madrid hosting Valencia. Currently Atleti a 1-goal favorite. Over unders 2.25, juice to the over slightly. It's hard to back Valencia. They're in a relegation fight. Atleti are playing better, and unfortunately, you only get 1 goal. The full goal of insurance is big in the sport, of course. But I don't think Valencia are a team that I'm looking to back. And I think if you're trying to play something here, under 2.25 is a little bit of backing of Valencia, a little bit playing against Atletico Madrid's offense, and also backing the Atleti defense. So I think that's something I like a little bit more. Moving to Sunday, Real Betis hosts Mallorca. Currently, Betis a half a goal favorite, with most of the juice coming off Manchester United Europa League midweek. Over unders 2, slightly juice to the over. That is very small, but Mallorca should get Muriqi back from suspension, which is huge for their offense and definitely adds an aerial threat. I think that makes me lean a little bit more to Mallorca right now. The total at 2 seems pretty low, but Mallorca totals have been tiny this whole time, so I like under 2 there as well. Now I'll move to Osasuna hosting Villarreal. Currently Osasuna a 1/4 goal underdog at home. I'm still not a believer in Villarreal. Really not much what they do will change that, unfortunately. And unders in Osasuna matches, despite a lot of their injuries and substitutions and having to play makeshift back lines, have been, I think, very profitable. I don't trust Villarreal as a road favorite, nor as an over type of team, though, even with Gerard Moreno returning to the lineup. Real Sociedad then hosts Elche. Real Sociedad, a 1.25 goal favorite right now, a little bit more juice. Over unders 2.5, juice the under. Hard to play anything here. I think Elche are just impossible to trust at this point. Sociedad's offense, though, has been really problematic. Their defense has been lights out, and that makes me lean under for sure. I do think that the midweek match against Roma, trying to come back in the Europa League, is a problem for Real Sociedad. Going to zap a lot of legs and potentially impact their offense, which is a good thing, I think, for under as well. So 2.5 actually talks more. I've talked about it, the more I've talked myself into it. Getafe then hosts Sevilla. Currently, thought I was on Do Not Disturb, guess not. Getafe currently a pick'em with a little bit more juice on Sevilla on the road. That's a pretty respectful number. I expected Sevilla to be a favorite here. Over under is 2, and Sevilla is an over team, I think, to me at this point. So I'm most interested in under 2 though here, because Getafe, rare to see their matches at home with totals this high. I guess most of those have been against relegation candidates as well. I like the push on 2. Still a really low number though for Sevilla match, so I'm not sure. I might be into that. Barcelona then hosts Real Madrid in an El Clasico. Barca, a quarter goal favorite. Over unders 2.5, juice to the over slightly. Also, Barca with a little bit more juice at home. That's too small of a number for me on Real Madrid. I think it should be bigger than that, at least a half of a goal. I get it. Real Madrid coming off and coming off your Champions League midweek. I mean, that's really tough position. Then go to El Clasico. I think under 2.5 is my strongest lean in that one. And for my best bet for Spanish La Liga for this episode, I'm going to go with the Villarreal visiting Osasuna under 2.25, as I think that is the best one there. Now I'll move to Serie A in Italy. And so we have 2 matches today on Friday. Sassuolo hosts Spezia. Currently Sassuolo a 3/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Spezia on the road. Over unders 2.75. Slightly juice the over. Spezia with a huge win, especially for the relegation fight against Inter last week. Sassuolo's been playing really well, though. I think I want a full goal of insurance on Spezia on the road here, though I don't think I'm going to get it. And that might be asking for too much. So I think I'm interested in Spezia getting that 3/4 of a goal. Feel like these are 2 teams that have a lot of goals scored in their matches, especially Sassuolo. So I'm not sure I'm that interested there in an under lean. Atalanta then hosts Empoli, last match of today. Atalanta, a 1.25 goal favorite. Over under is 2.75 juice to the over. Empoli are a tough spot right here, I got to say. But ultimately, Atalanta's offense has been really poor. I think there could be goals in this one. It makes makes the underdog a little bit less viable. But I'm really not necessarily a believer in Atalanta and how they perform. Maybe this is their get right game, but it's certainly been a rough stretch for them. Moving to Saturday, Monza hosts Cremonese. Monza, a half a goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 2.5, juice the under. Monza, goal scoring team. Cremonese, not really, but they're trying to fight their way out of relegation. And I feel like they're trying to be much more offensive lately. I guess an underlean slightly, if anything, but not really strong enough for me to consider. Salernitana then hosts Bologna. Currently Salernitana a 1/4 goal underdog at home. Over unders 2.25, juice to the under. I have some interest in Salernitana as a home underdog, but I think I like under 2.25 more because they've been really struggling to score goals. Have been shut out a ton of times lately. Kept, I think, 1 clean sheet in their last 5, and were clean sheeted going into last weekend's match, and we're clean sheeted 4 out of 5 entering that. So not great. Bologna's offense has improved, but it's still not something I trust. So I think under 2.25 is best in that one. Udinese then hosts AC Milan. Currently Udinese a 1/4 goal underdog at home. Over unders 2.5, juice the under. Udinese playing a little bit better, but I'm still not a believer in them. Milan are great, and I feel like this is a good spot for them to get a win on the road. Don't know that I have a feeling towards the total, probably under if anything, but Milan can certainly score. I guess if anything, that under is probably most interesting to me, just because that 2.5, it's pretty juiced at the moment, but that's a lot of scoring for an Udinese side that hasn't really been scoring much at all. Sampdoria then hosts Verona, early one on Sunday. Samp a pick'em, all the juice right now in Verona. Over under is 2, juice to the over. Samp is someone I can't back right now. Verona, they've been at least getting some momentum, building that up, but it hasn't really looked good. Last week they thought they had a winner, didn't get it. It's just like a tough spot to be looking at these teams. I guess if anything, like the under 2, it's getting odds right now, so I'd want to wait on that. But something to think about, I guess, in a little bit. Fiorentina then hosts Lecce, coming off Europa Conference League midweek. Fiorentina a 3/4 goal favorite, juice to their side, so potentially climbing to 1. Over under is 2.25, juice to the over. I'm most interested in fading Fiorentina. I'm still not a believer that they're a really strong side. I want to at least get the one there, and it's not there yet. So I will be waiting on Lecce. They haven't been scoring very much, so it might be actually more interesting to lean under 2.25 in that one, if anything. Torino hosts Napoli then. Torino, a 3/4 goal underdog at home with a lot of juice, which is kind of surprising, but Napoli off Champions League midweek. Over unders 2.25, juice to the under. I don't think I can play unders with Napoli and how their offense plays. This does suggest their defense, or excuse me, that they're rotating a fair amount. We'll see. Torino on the other side are a good possession team that don't do much with it, don't score a lot, and unfortunately, that will put them at the risk of the Napoli counterattack. I think if Torino climbed to one, I'd be more interested. Not a lot for me there. Lazio then hosts Roma, big Roman capital Derby della Capitale, I believe. Lazio a pick 'em right now, a little bit more juice, should have more of the crowd, despite in the shared stadium. Over under is 2, juice to the over. Lazio, I mean, not much for you to do here at Pick'em, I think. And I think under 2 is a really small total. I think it makes sense because the defenses in both these teams have been better than the offenses, but not a lot for me to want to get it involved with. And last but not least, Inter hosts Juventus, a 0.5 goal underdog on the road with all the juice, or almost all the juice right now. Over is 2.25, juice to the over. Inter coming off a really tightly fought match, survived late on the road at Porto, but had that midweek, whereas Juve had to play and go on the road to Germany for a tough physical match at Freiburg. That I think points to under, if anything, that there's not a lot of goal scoring likely in this one. I think that 0.5 a goal that Juve are getting is pretty high, but I want to see what that lineup looks like because they've been really kind of stressing their interest in the Europa League, but also trying to take it easy with some of their oft injured players. So I really have no idea what that lineup looks like. So it's hard for me to advocate any sort of play on that one right now. I'll go Salernitana under 2.25 as my best bet for Serie A. Now I'll move to the German Bundesliga, which does have a match today on Friday. And that is Borussia Mönchengladbach hosting Werder Bremen. Currently, Bremen a 3/4 goal underdog with all the juice right now on the road. Over under is 3. I don't see, so 3 is a little bit problematic as a total. It's a nice thing to have a push there, but Borussia Mönchengladbach have been terrible lately. They sold their goalkeeper. They bought one who got hurt, and their backup is horrible. Their inability to handle pressure and high up the pitch is problematic. Werder Bremen is not a great goal scoring team, but I mean, and they don't have as talented of players, but they have goal scorers. 2 guys in Duch and also in Füllkrug have been scoring a ton this year. Gladbach has been really problematic and looked like a team that is on the way down still, even though they've had such a great history in the Bundesliga. Maybe not down to relegation, but like are nowhere near expectations for that club. Maybe this is the Friday where they start playing well, but they got to beat me by more than a goal to take more than half of a unit from me. So I'm very interested in Werder Bremen right now. Moving to Saturday, Football Club Augsburg host Schalke 04. Augsburg, a 1/4 goal favorite at home with all the juice on Schalke on the road. Over under 2.5, juice to the under. Augsburg are a much better home team, can't deny that, but Schalke have been playing really well, or trying to climb off the bottom, have done a lot to try to keep themselves in the league. I think a lot of that's from a really great Thomas Reich's defense, which we've seen with Bochum previously, and we saw when he left how that kind of went out the window. I lean to Schalke getting the 1/4 goal. I don't love the idea of fading Augsburg, who are a great home team, but I think under 2.5 is a way to do that and still get a little bit easier or safer than taking Schalke on the road, who I think are looking to draw there, though a win would be huge for them. Hoffenheim then hosts Hertha Berlin in another big relegation derby, or relegation battle, maybe not necessarily a derby. Berlin and Hoffenheim are not really that close to each other in the country, but Hoffenheim a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 2.5, juice the over. My leans are to Hertha Berlin. I mean, it's scary to back them really at any point, but they've been playing really well. I think a lot of this season they've not been getting the results their play has deserved. I like under 2.5 as well, just because I think Hoffenheim, a previously good offense, the goals have dried up, and I think they're really fighting relegation, and it's really impacted their offense. Defense is still kind of scary. Nothing has really gone well for Pellegrino Matarazzo, the American, since he took over after being sacked at Stuttgart, moving over to Hoffenheim. I'm not sure that was a great hire, but they're in the battle, and I think that also will restrict goal scoring in this matchup. Stuttgart then hosts Wolfsburg. Currently Stuttgart a 1/4 goal favorite. thought this number might be here, but I couldn't get to it when I was making the number myself. I leaned to Wolfsburg and quarter of a goal on the road. Stuttgart can't defend. Wolfsburg can. It's going to be a tough environment. I think Stuttgart is still doing construction on their stadium, and that impacts the home field advantage a fair amount. Over under is 2.5. Stuttgart's an over team. Wolfsburg's an under team. I don't necessarily think I like a total there, but I do like Wolfsburg getting that quarter of a goal on the road. Bochum then host RB Leipzig, coming off an embarrassing performance against Manchester City. Bochum a 1-goal underdog at home. Over unders 2.75, juice the over. Bochum have been a great home team. I love that full goal of insurance at home. I do feel like 2.75 is a little bit safer to take under there as opposed to the +1 on Bochum. They're not looking great, I got to say. And Leipzig is certainly a time for them to get right on the road against the poorest team in terms of squad value in the Bundesliga. I think I do lean to Bochum, though, getting that +1. They've been such a good home team for 2 seasons. That's how they've stayed in the league. We'll see if that works for them this year. I think under 2.75 does look interesting, and it's juiced. Potentially, we might see a 3 before this kicks off. Borussia Dortmund then hosts FC Köln. Currently, Dortmund a 1.25 goal favorite. Over under is 3, juice to the under, and it should be because Köln have not been able to score like at all. Dortmund's defense has been a lot better than I think anyone would have expected. I trust it. It's weird to say, but it's improved a lot. I think that's why they've been so good in climbing up the table. And Cologne can't score. So I like under 3 there as opposed to Cologne getting over a goal, 1.25. I feel like certainly with an underlean, that's the interest I'd have, but I'm not sure I like it enough. Moving to Sunday, Union Berlin host at Eintracht Frankfurt, both with Europa League midweek. Union, a quarter goal favorite at home, all the juice on Frankfurt on the road. I do like Frankfurt getting a quarter there, and Kolo Muani will be available for this one. Over under at 2.25, juice to the under. And I think that makes sense. Union are going to play sit-in defense. They're not going to want to score both these teams off Champions League and Europa League midweek. That's a tough situation. I think I'm still just looking to back Union unders because I trust their defense, and I think their counterattack is not necessarily going to be a perfect situation here. Both these teams want to sit in and counter. I think it's going to be a stalemate. 2 teams trying to get to the top of the Bundesliga table and coming off Europe midweek. Bayer Leverkusen then hosts Bayern München. Currently, Leverkusen a 1-goal underdog at home, slightly more juice on the Bayern side. Over unders 3.25, juice to the over. Leverkusen are just not a great matchup for München at this point. I don't want to back them as an underdog. Last but not least, Mainz. They are hosting Freiburg. Currently, Mainz a quarter goal favorite at home with almost all the juice. Over unders 2.5, juice the under. It's hard not to want to back Freiburg unders at this point. They've done really well defensively, and I don't really see that stopping. Mainz's offense is really based off their defense and forcing turnovers. Freiburg are a little more involved in that. And I think next and last one I'm going through is going to be the Liga. But I guess before I leave there, I'll go under 3 in the Cologne match as my best bet for Germany. Last but not least, we got French Ligue. We do have a match today on Friday. Lyon, a 1-goal favorite to Nantes. Over under is 3 right now, juice the under. Nantes, I mean, really, how confident are you in the Nantes health right now as a 1-goal underdog and under 3? I think I like both those things, but I don't feel good enough about if they're going to have their best players. They might start, they might play, but they really haven't been that great lately. So I think under 3, if anything, would be the safest of those plays rather than a +1, especially with Nantes going on the road. Lyon's offense has not been that good, but as soon as Lacazette is back in that lineup, it becomes a lot more dynamic. Moving to Saturday, Toulouse hosts Lille. Currently, Toulouse a quarter goal underdog right now. Over under is 2.75, juice to the over. Toulouse, I mean, they've been playing better. I think still playing Lille is a tough situation. I think as a quarter goal favorite on the road, that doesn't really fit. Lille are a good team, but I don't think they've been good enough. They've been sustaining a ton of injuries, especially in their back line, with, I think, Jallo getting hurt out for the season, with a lot of tributes with jerseys and stuff being held up after goal celebrations last weekend. That makes me like Toulouse, especially at home in front of a big crowd. That should get them going. I think I lean over, if anything, in that one. Lens then hosts Angers. Currently, Lens a 1.75 goal favorite. Over under is 2.75, juice to the over. I don't really know what to do with this one. I got to say, Angers are not a team I want to back. They look like the worst team in the league going down by far, and it's a really sad situation at that club. Moving to Sunday, early one is Ajaccio hosting Monaco. Currently Ajaccio, a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Over-unders 2.25, juice the over. I think I need +1 in Ajaccio to want to play there, and I don't really want to play unders with Monaco, I'll admit. Nice, a 3/4 goal favorite right now to Lorient. Currently over is 2.5, juice the under. I'm interested in Lorient. I want to see a +1, I think, to play them because I'm pretty scared of Nice, but I think my biggest interest in this one is under 2.5. Nice coming off Conference League midweek, that's going to hurt them, and that might actually make me a little bit more interested in Lorient, but I think the under 2.5 is better. Troyes then hosts Stade Brestois. Currently Troyes a pick 'em right now. All the juice on Brest on the road. Over under 2.5, juice the under. I lean under if anything in this one. I think 2.5 probably might not stick around for a while. Troyes' defense has been really problematic this year. I expect it to be better at home. Stade Brestois' road favorite is something that you don't see very often. It looks like it's heading in that direction. I think I'd rather back the Troyes under than the Troyes side because I think it's still going to be a really low scoring match. Racing Club de Strasbourg then host Angers. Currently Strasbourg a 0.5 goal favorite. Angers a 0.5 goal underdog on the road with all the juice right now. Over unders 2.25, juice the under. I mean, the Angers defense has been awesome. They've been hanging all these matches, playing really well. I think both a lean to Angers, the underdog on the road, plus the under 2.25 is very interesting. I think probably a little more safety under 2.25, but I'm still pretty interested in all of that. Montpellier then hosts Clermont Foot. Currently, Montpellier a 0.5 goal favorite right now with almost all the juice. I like Clermont as the road underdog. They're a scary team, but they play well. Their offense has been problematic, but Montpellier's defense is worse because they let anybody score essentially. With that said, hard to lean under if anything with that one. It's probably the way I do feel, but I think I like Clermont getting that half a little bit more. And they've been good to me for a lot of this season. PSG then hosts Rennes. Currently PSG a 1.25 goal favorite. Over unders 3, juice the over. Stade Rennais are just not the same team right now. They did win in the reverse fixture at home, but I don't know that I trust them. I don't really have a lean for the total either. And last but not least, the big one in Liga is Reims. Stade Reims hosts Marseille. Currently Reims a 1/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice. So pretty good respect there. I think I lean to Stade Reims right now, but I don't know that a 1/4 and a juice to 1/4 is enough for me to want to play. I do love home dogs, of course. Over unders 2.5. And Marseille, they're great at picking up points in the roads because they score a lot of goals. Though I think this is one of those tight ones. So I think I lean under 2.5, and I might like that a little bit better than Stade de Reims because they might be able to lose that match and still, I guess, go under. So I think I like that one better. So for my best bet for this French episode, I'm going to go with the Football Club Lorient under 2.5 goals in that one. That is a road match at Nice, but Nice coming off European play, I think is going to zap their legs and affect their offense a fair amount. And so that's something that, we'll see what happens with that one. I think lineups are also going to be a big tell and see how quickly they can kind of put everyone in there that they need to get in. I think it's going to be a tough situation, tough setup though. And so again, I want to mention my Patreon. Thank you to the subscribers or the patrons so far. I really appreciate that. I think it's a much more affordable way to get in, but to get my thoughts every day on what I'm betting across multiple sports, with a lot of posts that I'm updating as soon as I have something that's ready to go. Would suggest checking in there. You can find some links on my Twitter, or I think it should be the link that's always on my page. Looking right now, of course, as I'm talking to find promo for pregame. I'm getting my picks up every night. Use promo code GOALIE20, GOALIE, GOALIE20 for 20% off for all listeners of Soccer Podcasts. Good for 7 days of podcast release. You can, of course, add my I have rest of March Madness picks on there. I have a 90-day soccer package, plenty of things on there. I think you get a full weekend thing if that's what you're into. Use the promo code GOALIE20. And that will get you 20% off anything at pregame. Of course, plenty of other great handicappers on there as well if you're looking to dabble in other places. So now it's time for the ultimate best bet. It's a little bit different setup today, so we'll see what we're doing. We don't have exactly the best lighting or cameras or anything, but maybe that's better because I got a better face for radio. But so this is betting the pitch number 178. My best bets in England: the Bournemouth under 2.5 in FA Cup, Grimsby under 3.5 In Spain, Osasuna under 2.25, the Salernitana under 2.25 in Italy, the Köln under 3 in the German Bundesliga, and last but not least, the under Football Club Lorient under 2.5 in Liga. Ton of unders that are out there. I think my favorite on the list is Salernitana in Serie A. They've been really low scoring for a long time now. Tough matchup for them as well, especially as they fight relegation. Bologna are not a goal scoring team to me either. So take that under 2.25 right now. Might not be a match you want to see. Probably could sleep through that one, and hopefully it ends 0-0 or something below 2 goals in the total. So thanks for tuning in. The _G Warner on Instagram and on Twitter. Hit me up on there or here if you have any questions. And that'll be the best bet, and that'll do it for this episode. I might have misnumbered, unfortunately, but this is, I think, 178. As always, thanks for the support. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. Or if you're on Twitter, hit me up, hit the follow button, slide in the DMs. Any questions at me, anything you want to. Love being interacted with, and just, happy to get out there. It's been a busy time. Looking forward to it. Slowing down a little bit, but also this is why sports is great. This calendar is awesome, and I will talk to you all soon.